I'm Javid Thomas, co-founder of Race Equality Matters, and along with the fantastic Raj Tulsiani of Green Park. I'm also founder of the Collaboratory, which creates collaborations to tackle societal issues that matter the most. And as a result, Race Equality Matters was formed. For those that joined a bit earlier, I said colleague, project manager of Race Equality Matters, Donna Robertson, is here, who will be speaking a bit later. And behind the scenes, we have Claire, who's hopefully going to make this as seamless as we can make it. For those that may not know, Race Equality Matters is a not-for-profit, and it aims to be a catalyst to move organizations and individuals from conversations to meaningful action that has a real impact. Our sort of like hashtag or key messaging going forward to Race Equality Week is hashtag action, not just words. So if we go to the next slide with the agenda. So today's session will be fast-paced and interactive. Interaction is very important, even though we're all remote. There will be polls. We'll share some videos featuring trailblazers that have actually delivered the tea break. And Donna will walk through the key bit, the 11 steps in how to do it right guide. And there will be collaborative discussion groups so we can sort of learn and support each other. Next slide. As you may hopefully know, we create concepts and solutions in collaboration with those with lived experience of racial inequality. The key is to help organizations make the impact we all want to see and indeed feel. Solutions you can see on there include Race Equality Week, Safe Space, Big Promise, Tea Break, which we're here today, and My Name Is, which I'll explain a bit later on. And for Safe Space and Big Promise, we do have workshops for them. My name is, sorry, next slide. So My Name is all about pronouncing other people's names correctly. The majority of us do get it wrong. So we'll share more about a launch event for this later in the day. So we're here for the tea break. And this will not be possible, so next slide, without the support of partners. Their support means we can provide this for free for yourselves. So there's no, we want to be as inclusive as possible. We don't want budget to be a key challenge, and we know for race often it is. So that's, we must say a big thank you to them. So what we'd like to do is a quick poll. So got a mixture here. So nearly half are allies and more than half ethnic minority or pro equivalent, which is fantastic. We need the mix. Have you downloaded the tea break workbook yet? Majority not yet. So hopefully after today's event you will. Have you seen a tea break workshop? Have you been to one before? No, which is to be expected. How well do you think your organization tackles race inequality? So kind of a little, not enough, and not at all is about 60%, nearly 70% actually. So the majority of us have still got a long way to go. Question number 5, have you noticed much change within your organization in tackling race inequality? Positively, a fair amount and a great deal is 47%. So I think that might be close to the highest that we've seen. But you could argue, more than 50%, not enough progress yet. Question number 6, do you feel leaders and managers committed to tackling race inequality? And it's 56%, and that's really improved in the last 6 to 12 months, which is fantastic. A third, still unsure. We appreciate that. Do you feel your leaders are confident talking about race? And a little bit, not really, and not at all is about 70%. So comfortable or very comfortable is 24%. So again, I think it says a lot, we find from experience quite often the leaders and managers will talk about other issues because they feel more comfortable about gender or disability, etc. Action, not just words, very important. How do you think your organization is focusing on race inequality? Does very little or nothing, talks a lot but little progress, focus on action and make an impact. So 28% are focused on action and make an impact, which is fantastic. So go start them organization for making progress, and 70% not yet. So and would your organization, that's more for us to be a spotlight organization, so 65% of you will. So we'll share more details later of how you can be a spotlight organization for Race Equality Matters. And it's all about action, not words, okay? So thank you for that, Claire. The tea break is organization-wide theme discussion to enable courageous conversations so you can hear the honest voice and feelings of your colleagues. When we carried out research, a lot of people didn't know what their colleagues were thinking, feeling in general, but this is a really fantastic way of doing it. It was created in collaboration with Network Rail and their Cultural Fusion Race Network. They were the originators of this. And they've been running tea break sessions on a weekly basis before the pandemic, throughout the pandemic, and it's been really impactful. And you will hear from Network Rail a bit later on. So what we'd just like to do is give a quick introduction about a tea break. So if we can play a video.
The tea break provides the framework and opportunity for an organisation to hear the honest voice and feelings of its colleagues about race inequality. All employees are invited to join a 1-hour themed online discussion about an issue that matters. Individuals can remain anonymous, listen to others, or actively participate. It's freedom of choice. Benefits of the tea break include fosters inclusion, supports well-being, highlights issues for action, removes the barriers and the fear of talking about race, normalizes conversations on race, and builds understanding of the issues. You can also join the Race Equality Matters Tea Break community. We've set up a peer support network on Guild. Guild is a community app for professionals. It provides private, secure spaces for collaborative discussion. Guild is already helping over 20,000 people have conversations that matter. We also have a tea break guide, co-created by those with lived experiences of race inequality. This guide consists of 4 phases and 11 steps. This guide outlines the practical steps you can follow to set up and run a tea break.
So the best way to get started with Tea Break is by downloading and reading the How to Do It Right guide. And we've created that as this cartoon. Give you 30 seconds to have a quick look at it. So that is based on my IKEA experiences, I'd suggest. So we've created a How to Do It Right guide to help people get it right. So the How to Do It Right guide is primarily for the Tea Break project lead and facilitator or facilitators. It was created to provide step-by-step support, and it's based on research and workshops that Race Equality Matters held earlier this year. As we said, it was created in partnership with Network Rail and Mental Health First Aid England to make sure we keep people well and safe. Importantly, it is a guide, so feel free to adapt the steps as you need that is suitable for your respective organisations. There is only one mandatory element, and that is the facilitator, and you'll find more about that in the guide. Next slide, please. The guide will tell you why each step is necessary, and you'll find key points and actions to deliver each step. There are green boxes highlighting ideas to consider and checklists to sum up key actions for each step. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible. Next slide, please. The guide is in two parts. The first part will tell you about the origins and the case for Tea Break, why it was created to tackle race inequality. It also highlights 8 key but simple steps that is based on psychologist Dr. John Cotter of Harvard's 8 steps for leading change. And tackling race inequality is a change issue, and this has been designed by us by consultancy firm Nexus. We can go to the next slide. So the 8 steps to make change happen, you need these 8 steps to create change, and it's a really good tick list to say, are we creating a sense of urgency in our organizations or create a credible collaboration? If not, then change won't happen. Next slide, please. So we're highlighting the problem. There is no sense of urgency, and solutions, how to create a sense of urgency. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. So all this is created in the guide. And again, it's to help organizations that are struggling to create the change they need. The change has not become part of the new corporate culture. Absolutely, it has to be, you have to live and breathe this. So earlier I mentioned that Tea Break had been co-created with Network Rail. Next slide, please. So before Donna walks you through the second part, sorry, before we go through it, we'd like to show you a quick video to explain it by Network Rail.
As Javid and Raj said, the concept of Tea Break was devised with Network Rail, and it was really a concept that we came up with because during the time of COVID, we wanted and needed to maintain contact with the members of our network and show support and understanding of the different nuances which affect our Black, Asian, minority ethnic colleagues. And our mission was really to continue to amplify the voices of our members and give them a platform. We needed to ensure that we continued contact and increase engagement with our members during this time by giving them a chance to speak candidly on issues that were affecting them. It is important that we still embrace our cultures and histories and influence our colleagues and give them an outlet to discuss feelings. Topics such as facing grief, mental health, race and discrimination, and barriers to progression.
So for us at Network Rail, it was really important that we held an authentic weekly virtual tea break. So for us, we would choose, as a member of the leadership team, would choose a topic. So we have used suggestions from our members. As they become more engaged, they're really giving us topics and subjects and things that they want to talk about, which is really great. So at Network Rail, we use internal social media, which is Yammer, so that non-members understand what we're going to be talking about. And we would typically send out a calendar invite to our members of the network. So anybody can share Anybody can join in and everybody can share, and every view must be respected. Tea breaks for us are not recorded. It's really important that, you know, whoever you are, it's a safe space for discussion, and really that anybody can include and talk about their shared lived experiences. We choose to host our tea breaks in different formats. It keeps it fresh, and also it means different people hosting work in different ways. We try and keep it as interactive as possible by doing anonymous polls and surveys, which encourage discussion and interactions. We request that everybody goes on mute, and then they're invited to share when they put their hands up. So for us, we use Teams, and it's putting a virtual hand up.
Great, thank you, Sonia. Yeah, the impact and difference that it has actually been making is that people feel that they can bring their whole self to work. You know, employees are supported knowing that they are not the only affected people. And we educate our allies and senior leaders on key topics so that they can go away and have those conversations with their individual teams. We encourage the business that talking about race and Black, Asian, minority ethnic related topics should be a normality, business as usual. And allies get the opportunity to mix with Black, Asian, minority ethnic colleagues where they may not normally. We've seen a 40% increase in membership in the network since we have started. And we have seen much confidence grow in our members where they are more willing to step forward and lean into the conversation.
So I think after a really quite heavy 18 months in some cases of enforced conversations around race and ethnicity, this is an ideal opportunity to keep the conversations flowing, reinforcing that your company and you feel that race is an important conversation to have and not just driven by last year's horrific events. And for us, hosting a tea break, this has proven to keep the conversation going. So best of luck.
So Sharon and Sonia from Network Rail and their Cultural Fusion Network have been fantastic supporters, have spearheaded this. They've done an incredible job and are trailblazers, and hopefully shown how the impact it can have. So without any further ado, I'll hand you over to Donna Robertson now, who will go through the steps in the How to Do It Right guide, and we'll do it in a few sections, and then we'll have some discussion groups within it. Thank you, Donna.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Donna, and as David said, I'm going to take you through the 11 steps from the How to Do It Right guide. So this is only a top-line walkthrough, so if you download the workbook, it'll take you through each step in a lot more detail. So next slide. We're going to start our journey at step 1, phase 1, and this is all about making tea break safe. So you need to assure the psychological safety and well-being of the participants. Talking about race inequality requires honesty, openness, and courage, and participants might feel concerned and vulnerable about negative repercussions in terms of their career and their mental health, or how they might be judged or perceived. So we recommend that you create a meaningful psychological safety statement signed by senior leaders, as this endorsement will encourage people to be honest and open in the tea break. Also, give some thought to meeting rules and behaviours. You might want to use the Chatham House rules, which means that participants are free to use the information received, but they're not allowed to identify or affiliate anything to any of the participants. We recommend that you don't record the tea break unless you've got a really good reason to do so. If it's a virtual event, well, actually, even if it isn't. And during the session, do empower participants to call time out if it gets too much, and provide support and signpost them to resources. And you'll find some resource links towards the back of the guide. We also advise that you conduct wellbeing checks before, during, and after the tea break, so to provide additional support. So next slide. Thank you. So when you've considered that, the next phase is all about finding the right people to champion, drive, and deliver your tea break. And step 2 is about identifying your tea break lead, someone who's going to spearhead the initiative and support it from start to finish. If it isn't you, identify someone that's going to bring energy, focus, and continuity to the initiative, someone with passion, people skills, resourcefulness, and persistence. brief them on tea break so they've got all the right information to understand the scope of the role, and then get their agreement to be the lead. And when you have that, ask them what else they might need support-wise. Next slide. So researchers found that having senior endorsement is a real driver for success when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Senior leadership endorsement and involvement will signal to the rest of the organisation that any issues raised will be taken seriously. So we recommend that you meet with senior leaders to explain what tea break is, its benefits, and why leadership involvement is critical. Also highlight their role in establishing the psychological safety of participants, and explain what they can do to support the initiative. So, for example, they might talk about it at staff meetings, attend tea breaks, or write blog posts. And when you've done that and you've got their buy-in, engage with line managers in a similar way. If you get their commitment and support around employees' involvement, that will empower more colleagues to attend your tea break. Next slide. So when you've covered step 1 to 3, it's time to create your working group. They're going to run the tea break from start to finish, from identifying themes and promoting them through to running and evaluating the sessions. As Tea Break is a pan-organisation initiative, we recommend that you create a diverse group with a broad range of skills and expertise, and that you choose an effective chairperson to help focus and coordinate the group's efforts. So that's the end of this section. I'm going to hand over to Javid now.
Thank you, Donna. So before we cover the next steps, we now want to give you all the opportunity to collaborate amongst yourselves and share ideas in the discussion group. So the theme for this one is, how will you go about engaging the right people, like Donna mentioned? So that would include senior management, project lead, and the working group. So in a minute, you'll ultimately be placed into breakout rooms with 6 to 8 people, and we'll be in there for about 8 minutes, where you have an opportunity to share and get great ideas from each other. There's no right or wrong answer. This discussion group is just to help you start thinking about it and how you'll get the people you need. It feels more senior leaders are getting, but middle managers not. So 2 suggestions is, one is, how do we get middle managers engaged is a very good topic to discuss in a tea break. And then there's also from some feedback we'll be getting, it might be a topic we're going to discuss during Race Equality Week, how to get more middle management involved when we know senior leaders are more engaged. So watch this space for that. So thank you for that. Hopefully you'll get a sense of this makes a real difference, Tea Break, and we want as many to do it, because it does do that. And I think someone in our group says what it does, instead of Black History Month being a pop-up once a year, Tea Break, if you keep it going, it keeps the conversation, keeps it on the agenda of all staff and the leaders. So thank you for that. So what we'll now do is I'll hand you back to Donna, who will take you through to the next step. Thank you.
Fantastic. So thanks, Javid. So now we're at step 5, and we're ready to prepare and go live. And this step is all about shaping the structure. So one of the biggest benefits of the tea break is that it enables regular and consistent discussion of race inequality issues. And the frequency and format that you run them will depend on your organisation. I think Network Rail mentioned they were doing them weekly, could be monthly, could be quarterly, just really depends on your organisation. So we advise them really that you liaise with colleagues when you're scheduling them to ensure that everyone's got a really good opportunity to attend, and also that you schedule it as part of the working day to encourage attendance and reinforce your organisation's commitment to race equality. And that you use a variety of formats. So you might want to invite a speaker to one, showcase a video, have a panel, start with 2 hosts talking about a chosen theme. So you can mix it up to keep it fresh and interesting. So next slide. So now you've determined the frequency and format of tea breaks. Step 5 is when you start to identify themes. So each tea break is going to focus on a particular theme, and this provides focus for your discussion, and it enables deeper, more meaningful conversations too. So we'd recommend that you look inside the organisation for themes. So for example, brainstorm ideas with colleagues, analyse staff survey findings, or run polls with colleagues, but also look outside the organisation. So for example, example, monitor what's going on in media, or focus on key D&I dates such as Black History Month next year, perhaps, and Race Equality Week, which is in February next year, so first week of February. So keep a note of what themes you've discussed and which are the most popular, because that will help you inform future themes for your future tea break sessions. Next slide. So just as an example, here are a few that Network Rail have covered. So understanding your career development barriers, coping with George Floyd's death, what it means to be British Asian, hijabs, head coverings, and misconceptions. So there's quite a lot that you can discuss in these sessions. So I'm going to hand back to Javed now.
Thank you. So we're going to go to our second collaboration group, and the topic is what themes could you discuss in your tea break sessions? So again, a really open conversation. So we get some ideas from it, and hopefully you'll hear a few that will inspire you. Actually, yeah, that'd be brilliant to talk across your organization about this. Because of kind of cultural holidays and celebrations, we know some organizations really gain from that. How to deal with current affair conversations in the workplace, absolutely. Diversity, language, and microaggressions, code switching, very common topic on that. White privilege and Windrush, definitely two really interesting topics that we know organizations have run and found them really insightful. And we call it, it's a really, I'm going to call it clever way to educate and learn from each other and reading a book, you know, because it's I call it three-dimensional. Everyone's talking and sharing their thoughts. So thank you all for that. So I'm now going to hand you over to Donna for phases 3 and 3 of the 4.
Sorry, thank you. I'm back now. So now you've explored your themes, you've shaped your tea break. Step 7 is the start of phase 3, which is all, and it's this step is all about promotion. So you'll need to let colleagues know about your tea break, encourage them to attend. So think about the information they might need to know when deciding to attend, and safety is one of them. Use a range of internal channels to ensure the majority of colleagues have an opportunity to see and digest the information, but also take some time to think about ongoing communications to ensure colleagues are aware of which tea breaks are coming up, when, and also if anything's happened as a result of tea breaks, what has happened. Next slide. Step 8 is all about preparation. So you get the most out of tea break. So to ensure that it runs smoothly, there are a few things to prepare and think about in advance. And one of them, and Javed mentioned this earlier, is about finding the right facilitator. You'll need someone who can manage behavior and maintain focus on the chosen theme. They must ensure that the tea break is constructive, safe, and fair. We also recommend that you appoint a chat manager to monitor the chat, answer questions, and show in the moment appreciation and support the facilitator. And then finally, you'll need to prepare questions, materials, and run a technical test in advance if you're doing it through an online channel. So next slide, at step 9, you're at the point of running your tea break. And we recommend that you allow an hour for your tea break. Network Rail originally started with 30 minutes, but they found that that wasn't long enough. And their 1-hour sessions have been far more engaging, productive, and impactful. So during the session, set the tone, put participants at ease, and set the ground rules. And deal with questions as they arise or as soon as possible afterwards. And again, remind participants of the support that's available to them, which, as I mentioned earlier, you'll find at the back of some examples at the back of our guide. So next slide. We're now on step 10 of the journey. You've run your first tea break. I'm sure it was a huge success, and there are now some post-event essentials. So after the tea break, it's essential to follow up with colleagues, ensure actions taken where relevant, and assess what went right and what needs improvement for the next time. And again, first priority is about participants' well-being, and the support available. So we keep talking about this, but it's really, really important. You might also want to check in personally with some individuals, and if the organisation does take action as a consequence of tea break discussions, do remember to share that with colleagues as well. So we recommend that you review how it went with colleagues, and then you have a tea break, so debrief to capture best practice and lessons learned. So we're now at the final step, and it's really important to understand the overall impact that tea break is having on colleagues and the organisation as a whole, which will enable continuous improvement and provide evidence of progress. So do look at your tea break to identify trends, understand what works well, what needs improvement, where the organisation is committed to take action. So, and then survey your colleagues to gauge the impact that the tea break is having on them. And I think really, really importantly for us is that we're always looking for incredible trailblazers out there who are running tea breaks or any of our other solutions. Please do share how they have gone with us. We need more network rails and organizations that are really sort of driving this. We want to see what's happening out there, so do share that with us. And that's it from me. Thank you very much, and I'm going to hand back to Javid now.
Thank you, Donna. So we're fast approaching the home straight, but before we go into our final collaboration breakout, what we'd like to do is share an interview we did with another trailblazer, Louise Chandler from Oxford County Council. Now, Louise was one of the first people to use the tea break How to Do It Right guide. Actually, she was one of the ones that saw the draft, and within 3 weeks of seeing the draft, she ran it. So she's going to share her experience. Thank you, Claire. So why did you decide to run Tea Break?
About 2 months ago, we started a Mentoring for Diversity programme. There's been lots of training and lots of conversations taking place. And I think it's safe to say that we got to a crossroads, I feel, as an organisation where we know enough about where we are at the moment in terms of talking about race and how we kind of get around certain scenarios and challenges. And I think it was about bringing the conversation to a wider audience. As far as I know, something like this has never been done before. It was the first time that a meeting of sorts, sadly, not in person, but virtually, but a meeting of sorts was called and opened up to the whole organisation to say, join us, let's talk about race. So I think it was, really just a timing element to say these conversations are being had in pockets across the organisation, but let's do something wider that isn't necessarily about the organisation, but also helps people's awareness, helps their understanding of race, and just really gets rid of the fear. There's a lot of fear and, you know, race is a taboo. Oh, I want to talk about it, but I don't know what to say. And I think if nothing else with the tea break, that was the real aim and objective of it, to say to people you can talk about it, it's fine, and not to feel scared.
Thank you. And how did you go about setting the tea break event up?
So I have been involved in my day job as marketing, and also as part of steering the BAME network to create a equality, diversity and inclusion calendar for all the kind of relevant corporate events, occasions, heritage celebrations and things across the year. And I just thought to myself, there's a couple of really important things coming up. One of them, Stephen Lawrence Day. That was the 22nd of April. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? Let's do it. Let's just throw this open. I'm aware of the tea break format and what it can do. Let's pick a topical day as a kind of hook to get people involved, and let's just do it. And I'll be honest with you, Javid, I came up with the idea, very simple, obviously, it's nothing record breaking or, you know, not reinventing the wheel. I came up with the idea I said to the rest of, I've got a steering group. It's 4 of us who collaborate to steer the BAME network. And I said to them, oh, let's do a tea break for Stephen Lawrence Day. So yeah, I think it was just a simple planning process, you know, thinking it through, thinking of how we were going to invite people, making it very clear about the aims and objectives, so that people come to the tea break with a clear idea of what it's about and what the space is about.
And how we know you're the first person to use the How to Do It Right guide. How did that help?
It was brilliant. If I'm honest with you, I think having the guide gave me the extra confidence to do it. I'm not someone who is scared to do something, but I think when you're going to take on a big task like this, it's good to have some guidance. It's good to have something you can refer to. The guide was brilliant, just in terms of understanding the roles as well. I was the facilitator. I had a co-host who was like the chat manager. So again, we were able to understand our roles. We got really good feedback to say how seamless and flawless it flowed. And I think that's partly because we understood our roles, we understood the purpose of it. So yeah, the guide was, I would say, really influential.
So as our first tea break champion, and what impact did it have yesterday's Stephen Lawrence event?
Well, goodness, I'm still absorbing it, if I'm honest with you. We had 54 people join, but what was brilliant was that we also had some new faces and voices that I've never seen or heard before, who felt comfortable to kind of step into the space and share what they thought. There was a lot of solidarity, a lot of support. You know, our allies list is growing. I think it's raised the profile of the BAME network and what we're about. I had a team meeting this morning for my marketing day job where my colleagues endorsed it, spoke favourably of it, praised me and the team. So yeah, it's had a real impact, and I didn't know how much of an impact it would have. You never can judge these things, can you, when you do a first one?
Thank you. So a fantastic trailblazer there, you know, just went for it, and we encourage you all to do it. And like Donna said, you know, please do share your stories, because we're looking to champion trailblazers like Louise. We're going to go into our final breakout session. So basically, I think it's important, how do you maximize participation for people to get involved and attend the event? Okay, as people have come back, if again, you could just want to put a 1 or 2 liner in the chat of how you can engage maximum participation. Interesting, we had someone in our group working for the police said police need to be on the streets, so they can't just rock up to these. But I think it's but they do something called a common exact word, sort of showing what we do type thing, where people can go to the police station to find out from people what to do. So a very sort of similar version, but less formal. But that sounded like it worked really well. I think there are different models for different organizations, but if people can just share in the chat, how you maximize participation. We do, one thing which is worth saying, some organizations have asked their staff, can we video the session? Because there are some staff for different reasons, frontline staff or whatever, cannot attend it. So what they do, they can see it later. And some organizations are being flexible, so they may do one lunchtime and one in the evening because of shift workers, etc. Like so sometimes it's moving around to make it as inclusive as possible. But ask your own staff what will work for them to maximize input. Thank you for that. So what we'd love to do is really important. So actually what we have created is a guild to keep this conversation going, because I go to events and really want to carry on some conversation. So we've created a guild. There's a link there, but we'll send it afterwards. It's free to join. So we've got about 70 people have already joined it, where we can share tips and everything like that. So, that's there for yourselves to keep this collaboration of support going. What we'd like to do also is run a quick poll, which is really important to find out, what's worked for today's event, how can we help, etc. So if everyone can kindly complete the poll. If we just share the poll, and I'll just go through the last one. So I think question 6 onwards will be of interest. So let me just see if we go down there. So question 6 is, do you think tea break will help tackle race inequality in organisation? So 61%, catalyst for change and a great deal. 78% think it will make a real, be a difference. We know it's not got to solve on its own, but it's to keep the momentum going, which is really important. And I call it pop-up events once a year. Yeah. How confident are you in being able to implement it? So fairly and confident, which is positive. Question number 8, really important one for us, is when do you think you'll run it? So 34%, a third of you between now and January, which is fantastic. And please do it. And once you'll do it, you'll keep doing it. It'll make a real difference. And you know, a third of you Race Equality Week 2022. So that's a really good opportunity for that. And we'll talk about a topic you can do in a sec. How do you think senior leaders get involved? Fairly easy, which is positive. So that's about 75%. And finally, do you think it will facilitate uncomfortable but necessary conversations about race inequality in your organization? 92%, which is huge. So, you know, why wouldn't we do this if we want to really tackle it? I think it will show organizations and leaders that really do care by allowing and supporting it. So thank you for sharing that, Claire. Next month, also, what we're doing, we're running buddy circles. So actually, these are where people like Louise or Network Rail, in a small group, about sort of 6 to 10 of you, we get together, and it's much more informal, or you know, we talk about the challenges and help each other through it. So these are there. So there's a buddy circle for Big Promise, Safe Space, Tea Break. So sign up to that. Prices are limited, but it's a really good chance if you think you're stuck or need a bit of guidance. On that, next slide, please. On the 10th of November, we got My Name Is. So we launched it in the summer, but what we're looking to do is get 1,000 organizations to adopt the concept. And it's about the impact and experience people have of having their name said incorrectly, and how we can change this overnight. The first 100 organizations that adopt the My Name Is solution will be credited as being trailblazers for this game changer. And what we're asking is organizations to encourage and allow their staff to phonetically spell their name. So I've had, you know, there's some people here today, I'm sure, and I do apologize, I've got names wrong. I do put it, but if it was phonetically spelled, then that will give me sort of like, you know, a bit better chance of it. And also we're introducing people. So we've got a guide on our website, but come to the event. You know, we're looking for 1,000 organizations to adopt this. And we think it'd be a real game changer for you know, inclusivity. Next slide, please. We also have our 3 months to go, only 3 months to go to Race Equality Week countdown, which is, this 3 months ago is on 60th November. Race Equality Week, one way to remember, always the first Monday in February. Always the first Monday in February. Next slide, please. And finally, we have our second series of Race Network Leads and Future Leads. So this is aimed at Race Network Leads and future leaders of race networks. And we've got Dr. Carl George speaking of Race Equality Code, and sponsored by our friends at Auto Trader. So again, we'll be sending this, and it's also on our website how to register for that. So next slide, please. A huge thank you to our partners and sponsors. I said, this is all for free. It's a lot of work, a lot of time and everything, and it will cost a fortune, but we're getting sponsorship and support from organizations to keep it free. So if any of your organization out there would love to you know, philanthropically donate to us, or be a sponsor, or get some market opportunities, please do let us know, because then we can keep it going for free. We really want to keep this going. So a big thank you to you all for joining us during your lunch break, and we want to hear about your tea break experiences, so do get in touch with us. Enjoy the last few days of Black History Month, and we hope to see you in the guild or at a buddy circle, and if not, at Race Equality Week. Thank you so much all for coming, really appreciate it. Have a good day.